Migrating a WordPress website to a new host or a different server can help you change a website structure, optimize it for mobile, or maybe improve your current server's service and performance. As long as you take the necessary steps to avoid data loss and downtime. And like any project, understanding what to do before jumping in is key.
And now let's talk about what to do before you migrate a website. Now, the size of your database and files will determine how quickly your migration will happen, and you obviously don't want to lose orders, visibility, or functionality. So no matter if you have a mega e-commerce site or a site with only a few plugins, take the time to make your file and database size as small as possible. You can do that by removing all backups, cache directories from old plugins, unused themes, plugins, and even videos. Then create a checklist of everything that must migrate from point A to point B. And if you identify content that does not need to migrate, just eliminate it. You want to transfer only the content that is current. And note your current themes, review your theme files, and note any additions that you've made to the actual original code. Then take inventory of your network resources and configurations, including IP information, domain names, firewall access control lists, internal and external DNS entries too. Then review your JavaScript frameworks and versions for your site so you have a smooth transition. Once this is done, contact the provider who issued your SSL certificate to understand the terms and conditions related to migrating your site. And lastly, understand the size of your website. Some are too big, like over a gigabyte, to manually or automatically migrate. And rather than guessing based on the size of your database tables, number of posts, or inventory of orders, export a compressed SQL file to really understand the actual size of your database. And for larger databases, plan on migrating using SSH commands.
If you're migrating a large e-commerce site, take some extra steps to make sure your product data, customer data, and order histories transfer. Very important. Organize all your user product and catalog data and highlight what should be migrated. Finally, as part of your preparation, enable a maintenance page that will provide a user-friendly message to users with alternative links to visit when the site is undergoing migration. I know I always appreciate that.
And then the question that you really need to ask yourself is, do you want to do a manual site migration or an automatic site migration? Manual migrations is just what it sounds like. Copying and pasting your existing website data by hand through FTP and through PHPMyAdmin or whatever your database is. And with a manual migration, you'll need to be comfortable with accessing databases, transferring them through PHPMyAdmin or MyLittleAdmin, and then transferring the files and maybe even editing a WP config file if you're using WordPress. You can do most of this through either a file manager or an FTP program such as FileZilla. And if you're interested in a detailed guide on manual site migration, just let us know in the comments and I would love to personally do a deep dive on this subject. For an automated WordPress migration though, you can use custom applications, extensions, and plugins developed by CMS platforms or vendors, or universal migration tools that will move all your website data from one platform to another. For either process, you need to select a plugin that gives you the functionality to do a migration. GoDaddy does have a free migration on Managed WordPress, but there are other free plugins such as Duplicator or all-in-one WP migration tools available to you as well. For either, you simply set up the plugin and use the import function and follow their directions.
So what should you do after migrating a website? At this point, your website should be in working order if the domain has remained the same during the move and DNS is already set up. But if you need to do a domain change, the site URL and home URL will need to be changed to reflect the new domain. If the domain will remain the same after the migration, you'll only need to change the A record for your domain to point to the IP address of your new hosting account. And this process varies between registrars, so it's best to discover how to do this part with whomever you purchased your domain from. Additionally, some WordPress themes also require additional steps after you complete the migration process.
Also, make sure your permalinks to your posts and pages are updated too, and check for missing images, broken links, and other sign that things might be broken. That's just testing through the site. Delete the installer and archive files from the tool you used, since they can pose a security risk. And then keep the local backup copy of your files and the database export, along with the original wp-config.php file, in case you need to reverse the migration. Then cancel your account with your old hosting provider or plan so you don't get charged twice. Make sure your website has your SSL, CDN, and firewall configuration. And lastly, update your IP and your firewall settings if you have one after migrating to that new host.
Simple enough, right? We hope this helped your journey of WordPress migration. That's a wrap, but your journey doesn't need to end here. We have over 250 videos for you to watch. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. This is The Journey.